Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Oh, I hear her voice as the cold winds blow in the sweet music on my radio. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Why, oh, why did she have to leave and go away?
But in terms of personality trait, she's more like my side of the family, I think. She's very outgoing. She was a bit of a ringleader in the nursery and other friends, and it's always, it's bizarre because every time I was going to nursery, say, oh, you Madeleine? Stones was always talking about Madeleine, and it was all the parents like, you know, you start thinking, oh my goodness, what has she been doing? But yeah, she's just really outgoing, good fun, bundles of energy, and very loving.
To an end. I'm looking for a letter or something, anything that you would send. With all the people I know, I'm still a lonely man. You know, it's funny. I thought I had her in the palm of my hand.
Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. Is that a noise for me?
No, that one was for me.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. Well, thanks, Shirley, for being here. You know, I realized you might not have been able to make it today. And as disappointing as it would have been, I was happy to know that you might have been doing something more exciting. But I guess not. I guess you're here anyway. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no, unless there's something super, super important, I will always be here.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I was a bit concerned because if something goes up the creek and I'm busy doing my thing, I wouldn't be able to know, because particularly right now, I've had to restart my other computer and I can't even see the comments. So I wouldn't even know. I could carry on for the next hour or so. But anyway, thank you so much. And you'll be there letting me know. So I sometimes have trouble with the audio level, and I just wondered if the audio level was okay for today. But anyway, if it isn't, let me know.
I will.
So yeah, I want to thank everyone for being here. It's so special. Oh, Bernadette. Hi, Bernadette, my friend that I haven't seen since 1961 from primary school. I'm fine, thanks. Okay, great to see you all. And the mods too. I'm presuming or hoping that there's mods there. They're really good. They pop in every week and help. And I think Carrie's got the day off, and that's great because I think she's going to have a lovely evening. So good old Carrie, but hi anyway. So before I actually get to the topic of today, I just wanted to go over, this is a really, really important topic for me. And in the 14 years that I've been researching into the case and doing a lot of spending a lot of time researching the statements, the files, everything, I got an overview of what I believe happened. And it's something which I think you can tell by the description has not been covered by anyone else that I'm aware of. In fact, I know that my research has not really been looked at. And I'm so grateful for actually having the opportunity to do these lives. It's thanks, of course, to Chris and Kim, who just totally inspired me into doing this. I'd planned not to do it because I figured everybody can have too much Lizzie, but they persuaded me, and that's why I'm here. And also, this goes along with the fact that knowing that I've got all this research in my head, and we never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And I actually did think, what would happen if something happened to me? I mean, I'm 71, but I don't plan on I plan on being here for another 30 years. I told the kids, when I'm 97, I'll have my own group. Now, I was alluding to the fact that at that time I like karaoke, but it turns out they're Facebook groups. So anyway, partly true. So now I've completely gone off at a tangent. But yeah, I suddenly realized that all the research that I've got, and that thousands and thousands and thousands of files that I've got, that I've kept over the years, would just be lost. So this actually is great because it gives me the opportunity to share what I know. Now, this doesn't mean that everybody else has to agree with me. And that's a given. I can only give you what I know, taking from the files and using those facts to come to conclusions. And the reason this one is so special is because it took many years to actually have a light bulb moment and realize all this information that I'm about to show you when I stop talking. Back in 2008, I saw the crash records were very difficult to read. There was thousands and thousands of posts about the crash, and they were very difficult to read or compare or anything like that. And at the time, I did a kind of a very basic graphic. I did notice, and in 2008, I made a post that there was something odd. There was something about one child in and one child out. That was where, between the McCanns and Russell O'Brien, it was like there was often where Jerry would put Madeleine in, and Russell wouldn't show, but he would take a child out, and Jerry wouldn't take Madeleine out, if you understand what I mean. One child, Jerry put the child in and Russell took a child out, and that kind of seemed odd to me. It happened quite a few times. So only 3 years ago did I was doing a post on Complete Mystery of Madeleine McCann, which is Jill Haven's forum. And it was a lengthy thread, and I'm trying to explain everything. And as I'm doing it, I decided to make a more complete graphic, which I put together over 2 days. And as I keep complaining about, or keep moaning that I did it, it took all that time. And I thought, after this isn't really going to help. But in actual fact, as I was doing this post and using the graphic, I had a light bulb moment. It suddenly came to me how the McCanns, if Madeleine died or something happened to her, how would they have accomplished everybody seeing her? And then it suddenly, the light bulb moment came on, and that's what I'm going to be explaining in the second part of this. The first part is going to refer to who saw Madeleine, because I mean, we hear everybody say, well, everybody saw her, she was there. But I decided to try and find out. I didn't go to try and prove she wasn't seen. I tried to find out the last time that she was seen to give me an indication as to when something happened. And as I'm going through them, and we're talking, I think, about 30 odd statements or more, claiming that they saw Madeleine, not one of them, except, well, one of them only, was proof, in my opinion, that they didn't see, no, not proof they didn't see her, were credible that they saw her. The rest were not credible, looks like it could have been mistaken. And so when I put it together, the only credible statement was from Fatima, who was the cleaner's daughter, who saw them on the Sunday afternoon, Sunday lunchtime. So when you put that together with everything else, you can see why I came to the conclusions I did. But anyway, as I was saying before I went on there, I just love having the opportunity to have this channel. And I'm so thankful for everybody who is here, who I can't see. I have no idea. But it's something which is I'm so passionate about, to the point, actually, that I'm so excited about getting the channel going again. We were really, really successful. And then it went dormant. I wasn't posting videos, and we've started up again. And I just want to show you actually two things here. One is just look how the stats are just baby steps, but they're starting to improve. And I'm really happy about that. So it's just going to go up and up, and the algorithms will kick in. So that's up to all of you for being here and watching and viewing. And I just wanted to make a note. I had somebody say yesterday about true crime and complaints that, you know, because of doing true crime, that they shouldn't get money. Well, that's up to them. But they said everybody gets money from doing it. Well, you might see there that I don't, and I don't want it. I've never received a penny, and I never want it. This channel is about Maddie, not about me, not about anybody, just about Maddie. So thanks so much for being part of it. So better than the telly. Well, I don't know, Michelle, but I'm like I say, this is, I didn't realize I have thousands, well, let's say hundreds of screenshots and pictures just labeled crash. So when I was going through them yesterday to put a video together of the graphics, it was so difficult to try and get them into order. So I think I did. I think I did the best I could. I'm hoping it's going to work out. Now I couldn't upload it to StreamYard here because once I put a video on, I get muted, and I wanted to discuss every graphic with you. Now the graphics may not be viewable quickly here, but I've done 2 videos today. One with the graphics for Who Saw Madeleine, and another one with the crash deceit. So if once you've seen it and you want to just go back and check. And the point is, this is the whole thing. Everything I'm telling you is, although I'm speaking from memory, everything I'm telling you is what I got from the files, and the graphics help to prove that. So I hope that really helps you to understand why I have the conclusion that something happened to Maddie before the end of the week. So is there anything else I need to mention here, Shirley?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Oh, there is. Yes, there is.
Okay. Okay, I lied.
So
there is.
You can't read my mind. Well, first of all, I don't know if I mentioned, did I? Yes, I did mention Carrie's got a day off.
Yes.
So have a good time, Carrie. What I wanted to say was I have been so fortunate to get some great guests on. And initially we had Tony Bennett on, and his video is just doing great. And he was such a great guest. And I'm hoping that he's going to come back and talk some more. I don't know about what topic he'd like to talk about, but I'm going to check with him. And then last week we had Peter Hyatt. Now everybody was so excited about getting Peter Hyatt, and they continue to be excited about the fact that he was on. He's highly regarded, and they everybody just loved him. I'm hoping that they maybe are going to contact and get some more information from him. But anyway,
and I'm not just saying this because so it looks like we're not leaving her out. But Pat,
hang on, I haven't got to Pat yet.
Oh, okay, because I was going to gush all over that. I was going to gush all over her being one of your guests. So I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, well, the reason I left Pat till last is, and there were so many that loved her, so excited to see her. In fact, the same with Tony. I mean, all of them, and this is why I'm so lucky to have everybody here. Unfortunately, not this week, but this is an important video, and even if it doesn't draw in the views from a guest, I don't mind, because it's what I'm planning is to take it or give it to the PJ. This is information that I doubt very much that they've compiled together themselves. Now, it's not going to solve the case. It's not going to do anything, but I think it's important to get the information to them. Just that's the way it is. So as I was saying, so happy to have Pat here. What was it? The week before last. And now I am so excited because she has opened her own new channel, and she is going to be doing some lives. So all of you who have an interest in lots of other crimes, pop along to Pat, and she's got 180 videos that were on her other channel, which she can't get into. So we're uploading those videos to a new channel. She has been a guest for 20 odd years in the media. And it's quite a privilege to be able to know that she's going to do a live and you can actually get to talk to her. Because really there's no other, I think there's 1 or 2 criminal profilers in YouTube. But Pat is going to outdo them all because I'm so excited about that. So I'm just going to play her little promo video. And here it is. So there you go. Isn't that great? See, I wasn't going to forget, Shirley.
Well, yeah, I didn't think we were going to forget.
No, I honestly, though, I'm really glad you piped in, because if I had have forgotten, that would have been great.
I actually never thought for a second you would have forgotten her, but I just didn't want to make it sound like, you know, like, oh, it's just Pat. And because all of your guests so far have just completely amazed me, but Pat has the kind of life that I think I wanted to live, doing the things that she's done, and I didn't. So I think I want to be Pat in my next life. I've already figured that out.
Oh, and yeah, and she's going to be dealing with, I mean, I'm not even going to go into it because it's so good. So just make sure, and I'll make sure that I let you know when she's going to be on. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but I think it's kind of put off till next week, maybe. So I'll let you know. So nobody's going to get, I'm actually going to do a little promo video on the channel, so we can get to see her. Yeah. So before we get started, before I get started in describing all the graphics to you and explaining why I believe something happened to Madeleine, I'm just going to play another little not promo video. It was one that Richard D. Hall, he did a whole series of Buried by Mainstream Media. And on one of them, it was about when Maddie died. And he featured a little bit about me. So I'm going to portion for you. And meanwhile, I'm going to try and get my my video up in the chat so I can see what everybody's saying. Okay, so this is from Richard D. Hall. You must check out his other videos. What was great about Richard is that he produced these, sometimes I think 4-hour videos, really intense videos. I think I played some last week with, I know I played some last week with Peter Hyatt. He allowed us all to use them for free. No copyright. That is amazing. There's not many people that will do that. So anyway, here we go.
Within the past few months, a British expat living and working in Canada, Lizzie Taylor, known on the internet as Heidi-Ho, has compiled a very useful analysis of all the other claimed sightings of Madeleine that week. Here are some extracts from her article, based on extensive analysis of all the relevant witness statements. Like everyone else, I once believed that Madeleine was seen during the holidays, as there were so many people that claimed to have seen her. As I started to collate the witness statements and scrutinise each one, I realised that apart from Fatima de Silva, who saw Madeleine and the family outside the apartment one day, there was not one statement that had a similar degree of credibility. I thought that the possibility of something happening to Madeleine prior to Thursday would be impossible, but after reading all the statements, every one, except Fatima, allows for doubt. Some were very obviously mistaken. She then goes on to list other witness statements from people I have not mentioned so far. Here is Lizzie Taylor's list and her comments. Cecilia Diaz-Firmino, receptionist at Millennium, described a shy Madeleine and saw them on days they were not at restaurant. Therefore, not proof that she saw Madeleine. She may have seen one of the other Tapas children. Geronimo Salcedes, Tapas barman, admits to not being able to recognise if it was Madeleine. Luisa Ana de Nona de Azevedo Coutinho, receptionist, claims to have seen Madeleine with the McCann's friend Dr. Russell O'Brien, but his daughter was not in the creche that morning and looks very similar to Madeleine, so likely mistaken. Georgina Jackson, tennis instructor, was non-specific about seeing Madeleine, only that she was part of the group for that morning. Charlotte Pennington, creche nanny. We've already covered Charlotte Pennington earlier in the film. Diaz Romao claimed seeing Madeleine at times she was not there, according to the creche record. Emma Wilding did not know Madeleine well and makes incorrect statement about seeing Jerry. Paula Cristina da Costa Vieira, cleaner, says she saw Madeleine McCann twice leaving the Millennium at about 9:30 to 10 a.m, but they didn't go to the Millennium for breakfast. Non-specific comments that do not confirm Madeleine's presence were made by Jez Wilkins, Stephen Carpenter and Daniel Stuck. So what about that one statement that Lizzie Taylor thinks may be credible, one by Fatima Maria Serafim da Silva Espada, the daughter of one of the cleaners? She says that she saw the McCanns and their 3 children. Let's look at the relevant extract from her statement, and let's note that this particular alleged sighting took place on the Sunday, and see what a tremendous amount of specific detail she gives to the police as she unfolds what she saw. She states that this took place on Sunday the 29th of April, just before she finished her morning shift at 13:30, as she had the afternoon off that day. At about 13:15 she went to help her mother, who was cleaning apartment 5I of the same block, situated on the first floor. She clearly remembers seeing the girl, accompanied by her siblings and mother, leave their apartment 5A and walk to the stairs leading to the floor above. She was very close to them, at a distance of about 1 metre, observing their movements for a few moments, because she was charmed by them. Madeleine led the way with a plate, perhaps plastic, in her hand, bearing a piece of bread. As regards the clothes she was wearing, she only remembers a skirt, but cannot recall its description. She noted, because she thought them nice, the type of shoes she was wearing, tennis shoes, light in colour she thinks, which had little lights along the soles, which lit up each time she stepped on the ground. Her siblings followed behind her, wearing the same kind of shoes, and each holding a piece of bread in their hands. Their mother followed behind them without holding their hands. She seemed to remember the mother was also carrying a plate. Moments afterwards, perhaps the time it took to close the apartment door, the father came out and also headed to the apartment upstairs. When asked, she does not remember whether the father pulled the door closed or locked it with a key. So here we have a statement which I suggest clearly is credible. It is not vague, it does not look contrived. Moreover, she sees all 5 members of the family together, and after that I would contend that no one ever sees all 3 children together that week. What about her shoes? Unfortunately, we do not see these in the last photo, so we don't know if they are the same ones as this cleaner describes. However, we do have the photos taken what I think was the day before, and on this one, the playground picture, we can see that Madeleine is indeed wearing exactly the same shoes as described by the cleaner. In the last photo, Madeleine is wearing a pink dress. The cleaner remembers Madeleine wearing a skirt, she thinks, but can't remember what colour it was. It's easy to confuse a dress with a skirt. This incident happens at about 1:15 p.m. on the Sunday. Is it possible that Madeleine was already in the clothes in which she is seen in the last photo? I think it is. So, in the statement of Luisa Anna Coutinho, we have a detailed, wholly credible statement that is also fully consistent with the last photo having been taken about an hour later by the pool, after lunch on the Sunday. The clarity and detail of this witness statement shows up the other statements from the Ocean Club staff for what they are: vague statements with no detail and therefore lacking credibility.
So that's what we are going to be dealing with today. And before I get to going through all the graphics to prove that, in my opinion, there was not one person other than Fatima who gave any credible sighting of Madeleine during the week. Before I start, would there be any questions, do you think, that you'd like to ask me from what you've seen from those 2 videos?
Let me check the questions.
It would be interesting to know if even just these 2 little videos, the one I played at the beginning and that one from Richard, would give anybody thoughts that maybe something did happen earlier before you see the research that I found.
That's not really a question. I just threw that up there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hi, Salty.
And Little Salty.
And Little Salty. Hi, Little Salty. That's so great to have you here, because I know initially you wanted to learn about Maddie, and it's kind of hard to just suddenly plunge into it. But hopefully, gradually, you will get there, because it's a case like no others. It's unbelievable, and still to this day, especially with the Christian Bruckner issue, which it's not even, I don't even bother looking at anything to do with him, and that's why I really haven't been able to focus on him, because I don't know anything. I just know that he was not there, so that's enough for me. So Emily, hi Emily, good to see you here. So why do you think Jerry tried to claim the last photo was later in the week, but trying to say he got the sunglasses later? Well, this is the point, is as I'm not sure if it's actually whether I've got anything in reference to that during the course of this. And please note that Peter Mack, who is, he does a lot on Jill Haven's forum. What a great researcher. And he's an ex-detective cop, I'm not sure. But he's going to be a guest very shortly. He was busy with something else, and but he will be a guest. And he wanted to focus on the last photo. So that is going to be a great live. There's lots of other topics that he deals with, but I'm really looking forward to seeing, because I know some of his research on the last photo, and it does show that there is a possibility that it was taken on the Sunday, just shortly actually after Fatima saw Madeleine and the others. Now, I do know that they did claim to go down to the pool at that point. If you look at the last photo, Jerry is not very suntanned compared to some of the other photos where he is suntanned, which indicates maybe on the Thursday he wasn't. They weren't there. In fact, there's more research I have, which I'm not getting into right now because that falls under the discrepancies that I've got. But it looks very much to me like, not that there was anything photoshopped, as a lot of people think, but it was taken on the Sunday. And then when it wasn't released immediately, which is quite surprising, because you'd think that that photo would be the one that they would have put on the poster, Find Maddie. But they didn't. They put a picture of a younger Madeleine on there. And they didn't release it until after he had come back from the UK in about 3 weeks. Took 3 weeks for them to release that photo. So I believe that the highest possibility is that they changed the EXIF data on it. And that's why it wasn't released immediately, and also why they tried to make it look like it was Thursday. Now, I've rambled on a bit there, but the point that I will get to about the sunglasses is that on Tuesday, we all know that when people are trying to cover up for something, they go out of their way to tell us the details, unnecessary details. And on the Tuesday, they claimed that they stopped off and Jerry bought sunglasses. So, and he was wearing sunglasses in the last photo. So that told me that it was an effort to have people believe that it couldn't have been taken any other day because he didn't get the glasses till Tuesday and it was raining on Wednesday. So it had to be taken Thursday. So that's my thinking, and I'm sticking with that for now. Where would Smithman fit in if Maddie died earlier in the week? Well, this is an issue with Smithman. Now, she could have died earlier in the week. And I mean, the details of how I believe it happened, and I don't say that she died in the week. I say something happened earlier because I don't know when she died. There's no information to give us proof that she died during the week. We just know from the Portuguese police files that she did die due to the cadaver dogs and everything else. But my thoughts on the Smiths sighting is that whether something happened earlier in the week or even later, they could still have set up something. So I absolutely believe the Smiths saw something, saw them. Who they saw, I don't know. It may have been Jerry, it may have been, but my belief, and this is my belief, because I know Pat has a different belief. She's a profiler and she goes by evidence, and that's good. But my belief is that it was a setup, whether something happened before or not, and I don't believe it to be real, but Pat does, and that's good, and that's what I love. I love to be able to tell everybody on here, you don't have to believe me, you can believe somebody else, but it's your choice. Just don't blindly believe with the evidence, with what's told. So figure it out for yourself, and that's why I usually put you decide, because I mean, it is up to you to decide. So does Michelle Adams, does Lizzie know anything about the 1 a.m. phone call to a T7 member asking what they saw and who offered to search for Maddie, but GM said no? Now, I'm not sure about a phone call. Hang on, there was a bar, I think. I seem to recall that a family member knew somebody in a bar and they'd called and asked, but I really can't go further on that. I'm sorry. So anyway, I think maybe we should get on with the thing at hand here. So I'm going to have to share screen with a YouTube video, and I will put it on pause and just go over some. Now, a lot of it, I'm not going to go into detail with every single one of the graphics, because you can afterwards go to the video that I have that shows the graphics, and you can decide for yourself and read them easier. I'll just know that in all of the witness statements that I'm about to show you, I personally could not find one that I find credible. And I think that's why this is so important, because I don't know anybody else who's done this. And so people are under the impression that, yeah, Madeleine was seen. Now, after you've seen this, maybe you'll still believe that she was seen. But I think a lot of you will suddenly realize, hang on, there wasn't really anybody who could prove. So, okay. So is all okay, Shirley, in chat? Everybody fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I haven't done this for a while, but at least I don't have to worry about putting audio on, because there's no audio to it. So I know. Now I'm going to have it full screen, so I won't be able to see anything of what's happening. And if you could let me know if there's anything I need to be aware of.
I will.
I want to make use of you, seeing as you're here. because that's so lovely that you're here. I was thinking I was going to have to do it myself.
No, I'm here. I'll let you know.
What would I do without Shirley? And what would I do without the mods and everybody? Oh, and also, I am not going to forget this week. I forgot last week. As soon as I signed off, I suddenly realized I didn't thank our Cherry. Cherry is, I'm sure, over there in Heidi Ho Controversy Facebook group, and she does a fantastic job. And what she does is, as we're talking about something, she bumps up the posts that are relative to what we're talking about. And I mean, I didn't even ask her to do that. She's just so great.
Yeah.
So she's been doing that every week. And thanks, Cherry. You are special. And also Helen and Linda, the other admin. What a great group they are. We've been together something like 7 years, I think. And they are great. So if you get the chance, pop over to Heidi Ho Controversy and you can see some of the threads that go along with this topic. So let me try to see if I can do this seamlessly. I may not, but we will see. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Self-explanatory. Now, this is a compilation of all the statements that claim to have seen Maddie, with a little bit chopped out where they refer to seeing her, which I looked at and scrutinized and tried to decide, did they see her, or could they have been mistaken? Or even if, see, the thing is, it may not prove that she wasn't seen, but it doesn't prove that she was seen. I can't find anything to prove that she was seen. So you can see how many, I think there's about 30 different statements of people saying they saw her, and only one is credible, in my opinion. Here we go again. There's some of them there. This was a very early graphic I did. And this is the nannies. So we'll be going over the nannies. Now, before we start, there was one important witness statement was from Catriona, Catriona Baker was Maddie's nanny. And there was issues. A lot of people used to say that she was lying and just trying to cover up. I don't believe for 1 second she was lying. She was a young girl who came, I believe, the week before, or maybe that week, and was put in charge of 7 children. There were actually about 14 in the crash, in the kids club crash. And she was in charge of 7 of them, but I think they probably all intermingled. And you can see in the bottom left there, the crash was a big room. So I don't think for 1 second that she knew everybody's name. They were dropped off randomly and picked up randomly throughout the week. And apparently there was lots of little blonde girls there. So as far as knowing every child by name and recognizing them, if they only saw them for a couple of hours each day or whatever, I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the main graphic. So this is from her first statement, which was that week. Now, there was 2 lots of statements that were taken by the police that we're aware of. The initial statements, which I've called the first statement here, is what I tend to go along with because it's their fresh in their mind. Whereas the following year, in April, they had what was called the rogatory statements, where they went into the Leicester police station and gave quite a long interview. And this was a year later, but they were able to go into more detail and in some cases, I believe, kind of change things. But this was from Catriona's first statement. And it said she's unable to specify if she was present on the Sunday morning. Now, that's something to keep in mind, because when we get to the creche deceit, that will be not important, but it would be a curiosity. So here you can see the creche with 14 children. I didn't include today, actually, but there was a whistleblower program which was taken from a Mark Warner creche in, I'm not sure. And they were really under scrutiny and they were not doing a good job. The nannies were thrown in with not knowing how to do anything. I'm sure they were great nannies as far as looking after the children go, but there wasn't a lot there that strict rules. And they certainly were questioned. And that was just 2 weeks before the McCanns went on holiday. So you can also see here that there's a picture of course, we haven't got a front picture. We don't do that. But this is a picture of Jane Tanner's daughter. Now, if you see, she's 3 months younger than Madeleine and has similar color hair. You can see how it's possible that they could have got mixed up. And here is the poster picture of Madeleine, a very young Madeleine. So, okay, there's a little bit more here to share with Catriona, which is why I started with it, especially because she was Madeleine's nanny. Are there too many questions about Catriona's statements to consider reliable proof that Maddie was at the creche until Thursday? Upon hearing about the disappearance, and Catriona was told Maddie was in her group, so keeping in mind, it was believed to be an abduction. So the apartment and creche was not of importance. And that is something to keep in mind. When Catriona heard that a child had gone missing and she was told that it was one of her children, she wouldn't have had a concern because she was missing from the apartment and not from the creche. So it wouldn't have been an issue with her to consider there's anything odd. Okay, I've got these at 5 seconds. Okay. Now, Maddie based on, I can't read the top bit. Maddie based on the release photo, but second-guessed herself that she must have mistaken one of the other children and could in no way jeopardize her credibility in her job by saying she didn't remember who was Maddie. And this is the thing, is that if something happened to Maddie earlier, she would have only gone in 1 or 2 days. If it happened before Tuesday morning, which is when I believe, because of the discrepancies starting on the Tuesday morning, when they started to contradict everybody and being questions. So in her mind, it wasn't a big deal. She hadn't been taken from the creche. So, and she's thinking, okay, and she saw the picture that was of a picture of a child that was younger than the child she was supposed to have been looking after. So she probably, it's very possible that she probably thought, you know, that, yeah, okay, yeah, that's Maddie. Because she certainly wasn't going to say, oh, I don't remember. So now the other thing is that there was later, when she was going through her rogatory statement, there was something very odd about this. And Hernani Cavallo, one of the, I guess, Gonzalo Amoral's friends, or at least he's in a lot of interviews with him, he wrote this: the statements that the nanny gave to the police raised doubts. She says, I was allowed to refresh my memory by reading the translated version of my original statement to the Portuguese police. One can read on the report that was taped by Leicester Police. The contents of the nanny's statements was such that she was heard 3 times on the same day and had to have her memory refreshed. Now that's very odd. One thing, that why would she have to refresh her memory? And I mean, in her first statement, all she said was that she just doesn't remember her being there Sunday. So that was a very odd thing. But keep in mind, this was after a visit to Rothley. Now, what happened was, the week after Madeleine went missing, all the nannies, or most of the nannies, were sent off to Greece, which was very odd. There was some reason, but they were sent to Greece. She suffered some really bad depression, and she, as far as I can remember, she didn't like Greece. But what happened in the November, the McCanns invited her down to Rothley. I don't know where she stayed, but to Rothley. We learned later that in November there was a secret Rothley meeting. We didn't hear about this till afterwards. And my thoughts are, did she attend this secret Rothley meeting? Rothley. And this was a couple of months, 4 or 5 months before she had to give the rogatory statement. My thoughts are, is it possible this girl who was innocent, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time? She goes down to see them, and looking at her rogatory statements, there's a few things that stand out. And I'm wondering whether during this meeting they sat at the table or wherever and said, oh yes, do you remember when at high tea Jerry was playing tennis, and I was wearing that jogging outfit? I mean, it wouldn't have gone like that, but you see what I mean? Once they instill something into her, she is more than likely to have used that information when she was explaining and talking about that at high tea just before Madeleine went missing. I'm not sure if I'm getting my... you can see there, she was photographed on November the 25th, and I believe the Rothley meeting was on the 24th. So that does look very, very suspicious. And this also leads to the credibility. How can it really be credible what she says if she's actually met up with them? Now, the one thing, she doesn't claim to have seen Maddie at high tea, which is the last time Maddie was supposedly seen. And I have to take this to the next little thingy. In her early statement, she says, oh, also remember that Kate was present for high tea, accompanied by the twins, between 5 and 5:30 in the afternoon. Well, that's odd. Where was Madeleine? She only states the twins were at high tea. In a rogatory statement, Kate went to get Madeleine from the Tapas bar area. She went, well, actually, there's some things, these are translated, so sometimes you can't take the exact words, from the Tapas bar area. And according to what I remember, she was wearing a sporting clothes, and I assumed that she was practicing some form of athletics. It was around I think that's a mistake, 3:25. But Jerry tells us he was the one that was there. He wasn't playing tennis, according to him. And Kate, I think, afterwards said he wasn't playing tennis. But Catriona does not specifically mention seeing Madeleine. Doesn't mean she didn't see her, but she doesn't say she did at high tea, or specifically that they left at 5:30. So there's no mention of seeing Maddie. So that is cause for concern about whether Maddie was actually there. And here you can see where they had high tea. The Tapas bar was here. The kids, toddlers crash is at the top there, and to the right is the tennis courts. So you can see that they all used to congregate up here, and nobody would really know, I imagine, you know, who were the parents of what child. They were probably running around. So that's Catriona. Now we'll move on to the other nannies, and this is the graphic that I put forward, put through for them. It's now Jacqueline Mary Williams. She saw her for a brief moment. Now remember, all of these, look for something that tells you that there was a good chance that Madeleine was seen. Lindsay Johnson says formal and short. Lynn Fretta said a few seconds. Sarah Williamson, she had no contact. Kirsty Louise Marianne had no direct contact. Amy Ellen Tierney was questionable, but that's in the next graphic. Yeah, I can't see it. So, and all of these are available for viewing. So whoever this was, saw once, did not know her. Stacy Ports. Now Stacy was the looking after the twins. So she also knows Maddie, as she would frequently come talk to her brother and sister when picked up by her parents. And I've made a note that if this is in reference to lunchtime pickup, as opposed to high tea, because they'd be in another area for high tea, it could only have been Monday and Thursday that Madeleine was signed out before the twins and able to visit. So when she says frequently saw Madeleine, question. And Sinead, who looked after the twins, only saw Madeleine once. I think Sinead was supposed to look after the twins, but it was actually Stacy who I believe looked after them most of the time. Then Suzanne Owen, formal and short. These are her words. The contact was formal and short and of short duration. And she did not have direct contact with the minor. So you can see how this is heading. Are you seeing any here that look as though they really did see Madeleine? Sinead Vine saw her once. And as I say, is this possible that they were mistaken? Then we come to Emma Wilding. Now, she was the other nanny, equivalent to Catriona Baker, looking after the other 7 children. And she's not... She does mention about Madeleine's father come to fetch her for lunch, but as you will find out later, was it Madeleine that he was picking up? But anyway, when questioned, she states that on Wednesday, May the 2nd, her group and Madeleine's group went to the beach, but she's not sure if Madeleine was in the group or not, and does not remember having seen anybody taking photographs. She remembers that during the afternoon of May the 3rd, Madeleine was at the mini club, but she does not remember at what time she arrived and if on that day Madeleine accompanied the other children at 4:45, ready to go over to the high tea. So she's in the same crash, and she's not aware of Madeleine. As regards Madeleine, she did not spend much time with her because she was not in a group. She did not know her well, but Madeleine appeared to be somewhat shy. Now, we all know that we're told that Madeleine was pretty not shy. This was noticeable in the first days since she met her. She noticed nothing abnormal in any other aspect. And I think I mentioned the bit about the beach, but she's not sure if Madeleine was in the group. So there's nothing there that I can find to say, yes, Emma saw Madeleine, and she was in the same room as Madeleine. So Charlotte Pennington, we kind of gloss over because Charlotte Pennington's a little bit of probably a very nice lady, but a bit of a drama queen, and looking, I don't know, she's in with the fairies or something. She likes attention, let's say. So this witness states that on 2 different days, Sunday the 29th of April and on Thursday the 3rd of May, she had direct contact with Madeleine, telling her stories and speaking. What we're supposed to believe, because the baby club is right within, it's just off the kids' club room. And on Sunday and Thursday, that was her very first day of looking after her babies. And yet she tries to tell us she was off reading Madeleine stories. No, it doesn't ring true to me, amongst other things. So she does not have the credibility, as far as I'm concerned, that she actually saw Madeleine. Saw her for a few seconds. Lindsay Johnson, oh, this is going through the formal and short. No direct contact. No contact. Possible incorrect statement. Yeah, there was a difference between when he was supposed to pick her up or not. Mistaken. Full fact. Sinead saw her once. So this is a question that did they really see Madeleine? Because Cecilia was at the reception in the Millennium. That's where they went to breakfast. Now, according to the McCanns, they didn't go after Sunday. They didn't like going, and they had breakfast in their apartment. On the Sunday, I don't think Cecilia was working. She was working Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I believe. But anyway, she did claim she saw Madeleine and appeared to be very attached to her father and was always clinging to him. Now, we know from Jane Tanner that Madeleine and Ella had very different personalities. So she was describing a child that resembled Russell O'Brien's child, who was at breakfast every morning. And quite surprisingly, she said about always clinging to his legs. Well, look at what Russell O'Brien claims. She wouldn't say boo to a ghost. And, you know, even a relative comes to the house and she'll kind of hold onto your leg for a little while. And I think Madeleine may not, maybe, and I think Madeleine's maybe not as shy as his daughter. So is that weird? that the receptionist would mention about Madeleine clinging onto her father's legs, and yet Russell O'Brien claims that that's what his daughter does to him. So is that quite something? So Jane Tanner in her rogatory, how much of Madeleine did you see? Well, not that much. She didn't come to breakfast. And she was a bit worried how her daughter would get on, because her daughter is quite shy and sensitive. And Madeleine's very, you don't know whether you can call a child vivacious, but, you know, sort of very outgoing. And but I mean, they did get on and they had a whole whale of a time. But yeah, a very, very lively, chatty little girl. So you see which I think you'll see in a little while, that Madeleine's personality from everybody is vivacious and an extrovert. But why is she known by the staff as being very shy? That is very odd. And I'll show you that shortly, maybe. Yeah, this is still Jane Tanner, and she's a bit more reserved, quiet, and hangs back and sees what's going on. That is not what Maddie would do, but that is the kind of child that all of the staff seem to be describing. And you can see again here that they could be mistaken for each other. Similar hair color, 3 months difference in age, went to the same crash. It is possible that somebody was looking at Russell O'Brien, Jane Tanner's daughter, and maybe mistook her. But how? We'll see a bit later how that could be possible. And by the way, this is basically just important to this video because it's showing the details that help prove that maybe that what I believe, there is no proof that somebody saw Madeleine, except for Jeronimo Rodriguez Salcedas. I can't say it as good as Richard does, but since Madeleine's disappearance, I've seen her picture many times in the media, but I cannot honestly affirm that I remember seeing her in person. So there were many children and I never paid much attention, so we can't take him, as he did at once mention he thought he saw her, but Maria, the Tapas cook, during arrivals at, and this is where this is questionable. She said that she saw her during the arrivals at the crash where Madeleine spent the day, located immediately next to the restaurant. Now, that's not true because the restaurant is for the twins. So Madeleine wasn't at the crash. And she did... yeah, she could have been mistaken. There's no proof there anyway. That's the point of what I'm trying to show here. Not that they're wrong. I mean, they could have seen Madeleine, but there isn't any proof, and I missed one. Never mind. You can see them all after. Now, this is the cleaner's daughter, Fatima. And this is the one sighting, which I think you've probably seen better in the video that I played of Richard's before I started. She has no hesitation in confirming that she saw the child before her disappearance in the company of her siblings and mother and father. And she saw them just before she finished her morning shift, which was at 1:30. And I did go and check I checked her times of work, and sure enough, that timing is correct. So at about 1:15, she went to help her mother. So then she saw them leaving the apartment and walked to the stairs leading to the floor above. And she was very close to them at a distance of about 1 meter. Madeleine led the way with a plate, perhaps plastic, in her hand, bearing a piece of bread. Now, this is logical because on Sunday, they were claiming always to go up to the Payne's apartment for lunch because apparently it was big there and they were all going to go there, and off they go with a piece of bread and a plastic plate. So she follows them. The other thing which, and that's where they would be. They would come, their door is here. If you can, I don't know if you can see the cursor, but anyway, just imagine it. McCann's 5A, that's where they are. The old fields were next door. And then they had to walk along here to the entrance to the stairs and the lift. The Paynes were up here and Mrs. Fenn was here. So the Paynes and Mrs. Fenn kind of, actually, I'm not sure if the Paynes were further over. Oh no, that's where they were. Now the thing is, as I will point out here, is she's making this description and people can say, oh no, I don't think, no. But the point is, how would she know that's what they were doing if she didn't see them? You know, how would she know that they were going up to 5A? And by the way, the mother, 5H, and her mother was actually cleaning the apartment next door. So if they were out on the balcony, there's several pictures of them out on the balcony. If they were out there, then Fatima would have been able to see and hear them from the next balcony when they were there. She was wearing tennis shoes, as you saw in Richard Hall's video, with the little lights. And her siblings followed behind with the same shoes, and Kate was carrying a plate. And here you can see the shoes. And this is Madeleine's shoes with the little lights. And she said that the others had similar. And this is Emily's shoes. So you can see that she was also correct in her descriptions. Yeah, you know all that. Yeah, how else could she have known they went to Payne's for lunch? I mean, you know, if she was making it up, she couldn't be making it up. How would she have known about the shoes, all having the same shoes, going up to the 5th floor or the 5H? No, totally credible. And the only one that I do find that is credible. Louisa, she was a receptionist. She was a receptionist in the little reception that goes into the Ocean Club. And on the Sunday, I believe, she was approached by what she believed was Jerry and his daughter. But, or did she think it was Russell? I can't remember. But anyway, now, curious thing is, Madeleine was supposedly at the creche, but Russell's daughter wasn't. There's some question there anyway. It's believed that it was Russell and his daughter and not Jerry. I'm sorry if my mind goes into a little bit of a fog there. Elisa, okay, yeah. Just mentioned that she participated in a group children's lesson of tennis. Yeah, just a general viewing of what could have been Madeleine. Alice Stanley and Chris Unsworth were the took them sailing, and they were supposedly sailing on the Thursday morning, but I find it very odd that there are no formal statements for them, because that would have been one of the last people that saw Madeleine, and there is no formal statement, so there was nothing there to say that they saw Madeleine. We're getting there. We're on number 25. 26, Jeremy Wilkins really didn't give any great indication. Stephen Carpenter, he really didn't know. I realized he didn't know until after it had happened that Madeleine was in that group. Bridget O'Donnell, she wrote a long, lengthy, I was going to say Barnes and Noble, but I think is another name for it, a flowery article about all the little girls all looking the same, all blonde and pink and pretty. And Madeleine must have been there. That was on the Thursday. Well, Madeleine wasn't there because that was the Sharks playing tennis on the Thursday, not Madeleine's group, which was the Lobsters. And then we got one really, really important one here. Miguel Matias. He is the maybe the owner of the Paraiso restaurant, where they all went, all the other friends went on the Thursday evening, and he absolutely believes that he saw Madeleine and her dad dancing, and he basically, it says, Mr. Matias's evidence confirms Madeleine was alive and well at 6 p.m. when the family left the restaurant. The fact is, we have the CCTV footage, and the McCanns were not there at that time. All the rest of the group were, but the McCanns were. Jerry was playing tennis before he went to pick, supposedly, Maddie up at the high tea. And Kate apparently was jogging in her jogging suit that she was very intent on making sure, probably, that Catriona mentioned it in her rogatory. She was jogging across the beach and arrived at back to the Ocean Club at 5:25. So we know that Mr. Matias, as much as he absolutely believes that he did see Madeleine, he didn't. And this is one example, and I think a very important example to note, that when you hear somebody say they saw Maddie, it's very easily that he was mistaken. Well, he was mistaken. That we know, because they weren't there, and it's not on the CCTV footage. And then we get to the ones, the Boyds, who a year later, they decided they wanted a little bit of attention and started doing an article about how their little boy was playing with Maddie that day before and going down the they were giggling and falling around the pool, and then they were going down the water slide. Well, funnily enough, there is no water slide. So that one has zero credibility. They just wanted to make their, excuse me, make their name. So then we get, here I've just listed the nannies in the order. I just threw it in. Amy, Tierney, yeah, there's Baby Club, and goes up to toddlers. And then we get to Catriona and Emma, who was looking after the other children, 3 to 5. And then Kirsty, Louise, Marianne, who was looking after the juniors, and they were at the Millennium. The junior club was at the Millennium complex. So one thing I did make a note of is we were told about Madeleine's crash activities, and that included handprint stars, salt dough rocket ships, and alien footprints. And I question why there wasn't any. Well, not having them available does not prove anything, but I'm curious as to why there weren't some little saved crafts that Maddie produced during her supposed week there. So do they exist? I don't know. If they are, we haven't seen them. Okay. There was another witness there, but I can't remember the name. And here is the questionable description of just the OC staff, not family and friends. Say extroverted, lively, vivacious, hyperactive, outgoing, chatty, and family and friends. The OC staff, timid, shy, quiet, discreet, calm, clinging, very shy. And we know that Russell O'Brien's daughter and Jane Tanner's daughter is shy and sensitive, quiet and reserved, hangs back, wouldn't say boo to a goose, and holds on to leg. So when the Ocean Club staff describe this tie-shimmered, quiet, discreet child, are they really describing Russell O'Brien's daughter? And I'll explain to you a little bit later how I believe that happened. So that's, we've already gone over that, whereas clinging, you can see that even one of the other children in the same group as Madeleine, this is 3 of them, all from the same crash, and they look alike. I'm sure there were more. You can see here that Madeleine looks very much similar to the other children. So if you were shown this picture down in the bottom left corner, which was the poster for that night, would you, knowing there were lots of other young children, little blonde girls, does she resemble the 3 on the top, which were taken while she was on holiday? I mean, they do look all very different, but this looks very, very young. And I have to wonder, and this is just my theory, this is not a fact, is that the reason they used a younger one, if you think about the fact, not the fact, but if something had happened to her earlier and they were trying to have everybody believe that this is who you're looking for, if they'd have put up the picture from that day, let's say the last picture, especially with the pink outfit and the hat, what would happen if Catriona, if something had happened earlier, if Catriona said, no, I remember that little girl on Monday, but I don't remember her this week. And by the way, she's wearing what she wore on Sunday. You know, you have to wonder whether they went to that extent to manipulate the fact of putting this younger picture up. Really doesn't look like Maddie that was on holiday. Here you can see Jane Tanner and her daughter and Maddie. This is just a few location pictures I've put in just so that you can see. This was the high tea area. This was the Tapas bar. Here were the tennis courts and the kiddies pool up here. This was from an original photo from back in 2007. And those are a lot of locations, which I do have several locations I put together so that to help people. I think I've actually got a video with just locations on it. So if you're kind of curious as to what the area was like, then they might help you. So basically, did anyone really see Maddie? Or did they see another child that looked similar to Maddie? And I think that's the end. So I think I was a bit concerned that that would be very kind of boring to go through, but I think it was important because now you may question when you say, yes, people saw Maddie during the week. You can look for yourself, all of the, or if you can't find it, just ask. I will show you any or all of the graphics in an easy to read form to show that there really wasn't any credible. So that kind of told me the possibility that, okay, she was last seen on Sunday. And I'm wondering how others feel. Are there any questions on that?
Hold on just a second. There's been some things said, but I didn't want to put them up over your video. Well, first thing, and I don't know if I can find it. There's kind of a discussion going on. Someone asked whether there was anybody in here that actually thought they were innocent. The parents were innocent. And then that leads to the question that I was going to put in there, but I didn't. Innocent in what way? Because so you have whether something happened to her versus she was kidnapped. If you throw out the kidnap, then you have, are they innocent of hurting her like it was an accident? And then just covering it up, or are they actually guilty of hurting her? So that's kind of a question that's going on in there right now.
The one way I'll address that is we try to be very careful in Heidi Ho Controversy, which has been our main group. And there has never been any evidence that she was hurt or the McCanns physically hurt her. So we don't, I don't like to actually go to how that happened or what happened, but I have noticed while I was putting the transcription from Gonçalo Amaral videos, which are in Portuguese, I have noticed that he has occasionally alluded to the fact that there may be more to it. Don't want to start anything with that. I'm just not quoting, but paraphrasing what he said, that there is a possibility. But I do believe it was an accident. I want to believe it was an accident, put it that way. We don't know, so it's really not something we can make an assessment on.
Okay, so the next question from the salty bitch. I don't want to forget, Matt is asking about the DNA, that the father went back to the UK to get something that may have had her DNA on it.
Yes, that's exactly it. And this is another issue. There was so little DNA in the apartment, which is odd. This child was supposed to have been there the whole week. And yet he had to go back to UK to get her pillowcase from the UK so that they could use it to get her DNA. Now, is that not something which stands out to you as very, very odd? They claimed that the toothbrushes they all shared. Here's another one. They claim they didn't pass over a hairbrush. Her hairbrush. Now, there's one of the main things that you would have for DNA, right? Now, they didn't pass it over. Now, what was odd was a couple of months later, they contacted that African chap who had his special machine. And I actually have the video of him taking the hairbrush that the McCann supplied with hair in it and doing his little thing on it, which of course was a load of, what's it? But they wouldn't give that hairbrush over to the police at the time. Is that not not odd? Suspicious. That's the word I want. That Jerry has to take a trip back to England to something that is specifically for Maddie. I mean, why not use the pillowcase case that she was using while she was there? That is outrageous to me. They did actually prove in the files that the DNA was Maddie's, I think, from the twins. And of course, the DNA comes from so much of Jerry and so much of Kate. And so the twins and Maddie would have kind of commonalities between that. But when they actually came down in forensics, this is a bit off topic here, but I just want to mention it. When they actually did take the DNA, especially from the DNA that was found in the car, which was 15 of Madeleine's 19 alleles were found, along with another 12 or 13, I think. So there was like 32 alleles. They had the ability to exclude everybody, including the officers who picked up the blood. And it was blood because was why they had the cadaver dogs and the blood dogs. They didn't care about rest of DNA. There'd be a lot of DNA in that car that was Maddie's. But they specifically only alert to blood. So again, I've lost my tangent. I hope I was heading in the right direction there. That they actually, Madeleine's, oh, that's right. Yeah, it was proven from the forensics that was Madeleine's DNA that was used. But when it came to being used against some of the forensics that were found, they didn't exclude the twins, the parents, the officers, anybody that was in the car. They had all the reference codes for those, and they did not use them and exclude them. And that was a very odd thing, which one of the forensic people later did say. Why? Wouldn't you want to have, if you had the ability to exclude other DNA from other people out of that 32 alleles, then why wouldn't you? But they didn't. And that's questionable. So yeah, he had to go back and get a pillowcase. So thanks for that little salty. Yeah, they claim the 3 children shared a toothbrush. And weird for doctors to do that, of course. But this is the whole thing, is everything they're claiming is weird because they're trying to cover up for what actually happened, I believe. So the one thing, this is different to, it's kind of on its own. What I'm doing today is basically who saw her and how they accomplished the crest deceit, which I'll get to in a minute. But the point is, the videos that I did about the discrepancies is huge. I mean, there was huge discrepancies right from Tuesday morning. Now, I initially did this in one of my first videos, which I did on another channel, and those videos have subsequently been taken down. So I am planning on doing another one with the discrepancies throughout the week, like going through the week and everything. So it's the point behind this is you have to have the whole scenario put together. But anyway, that's where we're at. Another question from Little Salty. Why is CB being labelled as the probable kidnapper killer of Madeleine? Are the authorities that uncertain because the prosecutor appears confident in his guilt? No. I'm sorry to laugh on this because once again, and I didn't mention him last week, but I have to refer to Mark Salnokonoko's podcast. I absolutely recommend that anybody who considers Christian Bruckner as being involved needs to listen to, just Google "They've Taken Her," 9 News Australia. That should get you to the podcasts. If not, I know Carrie's... Oh, Carrie is here. Hello, Carrie. I just seen her. She's not supposed to be here.
Just want to say really quick, though, Claire has been holding up the link side, and she's been doing great.
Oh, thank you so much, Claire. You are also great. This is like starting a new life, you know, with doing lives and having all these lovely people around me. And anyway, where was I? Yeah, check out Mark Salnokonoko's podcast, because that will tell you that the prosecutor appears confident. Yeah, he appears it, but he's not, because he doesn't know anything, and he actually admits he doesn't know. So this is really weird. And if you listen back to some of what Pat said the week before last about Christian Bruckner, I think she's in total agreement, and she'll give you a little bit of an input on that. So, but I do want to get on. I don't want to take it too long today, and I do want to get on with what I think. This is something I'm so proud of. When I discovered about the crash deceit, I know that nobody else has found it. I discovered it by chance just in 2018, 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago. And it was a light bulb moment. And at that point, I thought, wow, because the point is, for any of us that claim that something happened to Maddie prior to Thursday, I think it's our responsibility to explain how they got away with it. Because if you can't explain how they got away with it, then it's really not good to well, I did it for several years, but it's really not, you really should. I feel responsible, and I've found what I believe is the answer. So I will just answer Little Salty's question here. Oh no, it's the same question. Okay, we're done with that question. So
sorry, I got a phone call, so I didn't get to take that off yet.
Quite all right. Sorry. Quite all right.
And I wasn't on mute when my phone started blaring, so I was scrambling trying to hit the mute button.
Okay. Well, I'm surprised I haven't had a call today, but anyway. So I think I don't want to keep it going too long. And this is a kind of a weird one, because it's so important to me. As I say, I'm so proud of my accomplishments in this, and I know nobody else has it. Nobody else has done a Who Saw Madeleine research, and I feel positive, and I'll tell you why in the middle, as to why I'm probably the only one that managed to actually figure out a very, very, very simple technique that Jerry, the McCanns, and Russell O'Brien used to have it appear that Madeleine was in the crash during the week. It's so simple and so cunning. It's a real cunning technique, and I absolutely believe that this is what happened. And I'll tell you why I believe it, over and above just the facts that I've seen. Thanks, Denise. Well, I'm going to be asked. Pat and I, we've always got along. We both respect each other, and I mean, crikey, she's a profiler. She knows what she's doing. She goes by evidence. I'm a researcher, so I go by the facts of my research and the conclusions I come to. So that's two different things, really. So it doesn't matter who you want to believe. You don't have to believe me. Pat's the professional belief, Pat, or if you question something or whatever, it's up to you. And this is why. This is the research that I can produce to you to show you why after 14 years, I have claimed that I believe Madeleine died earlier in the week. Not died. Something happened to her. I don't know when she died. So, okay, I'm going to get on now with the question seat. I'm not sure. I hope it's not as long. I'll try not to make it too long because it is, but it's important because this is, I want to send this to the Portuguese police. I think it's important for them to, yes, Salty, I'll do that right for you and little Salty. Yeah, I believe it was the first one I did back in September, I think, of last year, but it's gone now, so I'll redo it. Okay. Yeah, so this is for the PJ. So that's why, and also, I mean, it's very simple for me to say, as I've always said, yes, I didn't see any indication that anybody or any proof that somebody saw Maddie during the week. But that's just my word you're going on. And as long as this may have been, at least now I've got it out there for you to be able to choose for yourself and see for yourself. That's what's important to me. Okay. So, okie dokie. Here we go again. I keep forgetting how to share. I haven't done it for so long. Okay, looks like we're getting there. Golly, and I had it all set up. Oh, but I forgot to turn it on. And I'm sorry I made a mistake in spelling there. I won't highlight it, but I wasn't going to go and change it. So this is going back to how when I first discovered in 2008 that there was a one child in and one child out